We are in the process of building the future.
Rangers never bluff.
We have lost much, endured much, sacrificed greatly.
Zappers knew you would come.
I think I'll stick my head in the station's fusion reactor.
Life's full of mysteries. Consider this one of them.
If you go to Zahadu, you will die.
Hey guys, it's another episode, another Monday, another time on the tone voice, trying to find almost coming. That was a great conversation. I'm going to introduce now to Dago, Kate,
Hello.
Jeebus.
Hey.
And we're waiting for Keith to show up, but as we were saying before, this episode is going to be Babylon Squared, episode 20 of this first season. Keith chose it. It's one of the better episodes, and it has a lot of things inside. So before we get going, we're going to take a look at the chat while Keith tries to find the StreamYard's link I sent him twice. We got Monkey in the chat. How you doing? We got Memes. I sent you the link as well. Hello, Memes. We have myself and the third person. How are you doing there, Steven? We then have Low Spec Linux Laptop and Martin Orlando. Hello. Tim Possible, always looking for a cupcake. Try Walmart. Stream Element Spot, you're mean as usual. Shane Nolan, how are you? And, of course, Zax and QT Cast TV. So did you guys all watch the episode by chance?
Oh, of course.
All right. So while we wait for Keith to show up on the show, that they call Keith Chimes In, but there's Keith's now absent trying to chime in. We have Kaylee in the chat. Hello. So,
would you like a history lesson?
Sure, let's go with the history lesson for Babylon 5.
All right. This comes from that book I showed you guys the other day from Across Time and Space. And basically what this book does is go through everything and gives you the history. I got to put my glasses on so I could read it. But the reason why there was a Babylon 5, for those of you who, I'm going to try and avoid spoilers, is because there was a Babylon 1 through 4.
Yeah.
All right. Let me find it real quick. In the year 2248, construction begins on Babylon Station in neutral territory between the major powers in the galaxy. Thomas Jordan, we missed this episode. It's the Grail. He was Jinxie. Thomas Jordan is hired to build and work on the station. After working a few months, Thomas Jordan decides to take some leave. Shortly after, he goes sabotage, and boom goes his first Babylon station. Similar thing happens in 2250, where Thomas Jordan is again hired as a construction worker, takes leave, and there is sabotage, and the station is gone. You would think after 2 stations they'd give up, but they didn't. Let's see.
The thing is with the sabotage is messed up, is that they've gone through 3 stations that are sabotaged or destroyed. They would have better security around the points that can cause the sabotage of the whole station to go in a minute with explosives.
Right. The third one wasn't sabotage, though. They had a, here it is, Thomas Jordan is hired to work on building Babylon 3. An explosion irreparably damages the station during its construction. And after that one, that's where he got the name Jinxie. In 2252, construction is authorized on the biggest of the Babylon stations, Babylon 4. To avoid any sabotage attempts, the station is designed in with 2 large ion engines allowing it to move. It was the only Babylon station that could actually move on its own power. However, there's a lot of spoilers in what is written here. Babylon 4 has issues, and we'll get into that.
Yeah. Well, I do agree that this episode is like a major spoiler for those that are not caught up. It's also it's one of the best.
Yeah, if I get into the actual timing of when it was finished, let me see what I could do. See if I can give you some of this stuff without put my glasses back on. History was made when Babylon 4 comes online. Overseeing the final stages of construction is Major Lewis Krantz. Then it goes into a ton of spoilers. We'll skip those. Construction worker Thomas Jordan finally decides it's safe to leave because the station went online. Everything was operational. Now that the station had came online without any incident. As his shuttle departs Babylon 4, he looks back and sees the station disappear into the time rift.
Did they ever? I'm trying to remember. Did they ever mention? Oh, I don't want to spoil it because it's actually attached to a later on episode and how it explains who stole it and why they stole it. But there's timelines in this one with the drag race, and it's.
Well, when we get to that, I can bring it up. But yeah, I've got it all.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah.
But for those that are, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm getting it set up. But pretty much those are wondering, because I got so much crap in my one folder. I'm trying to find all my weird overlays without showing my man nipples or something weird from my other pictures. So I'm trying to find it. But for those that are wondering, Babylon 4 actually was this station here. It's not the best representation, but it went missing. Babylon 5 isn't created, but no one knows where or how or why it went missing. It disappeared not only the whole station, but the whole skeleton crew of about 1,200 to 1,500 people, if I remember correctly. It was just up and gone one day, and they never knew the reason why. And that's where Babylon Squared comes in, because it's technically a play on words. 2 stations, Babylon Squared. Pretty much that's how they're going with it.
Right, right. There's also a comic, which I can go back into. I try and keep them pristine, but the 3-book series talks about what happens to Babylon 4, which we can explain a little more detail later on without giving spoilers.
Well, we're going to do spoilers. I'll do this right now. This is a formal warning in the episode. About 7 minutes in, we will be covering spoilers to a certain degree covered with this episode. If you don't like it, I do apologize, but there's just too much to not give a little bit away. So go ahead, Adega, while we wait for Keith to find his GPS map.
Well, basically what the comic is about, it's in Valen's name. And let me see, I've got him right here. Give me it won't take but a sec.
We're very organized today, guys. Very organized.
Yeah, right. This is the series.
Wait, they were talking about DC?
Yeah, it's DC. And Babylon 4 is taken out of time. And here's a little spoiler. It isn't taken to the future. It's taken to the past. It survives in the past all the way up into the present. So at one point in time, there are 2 Babylon 4 stations. One very old, one very new. But it talks about how it made it to present day and what happens to it after that.
That is awesome. All right. So while we wait, I want to ask a question, though. Did anyone have a favorite part of Babylon Squared? This goes towards the panel and the chat as well. And before I get an answer, I think there's a Blue Eyes White Dragon who's popping in. Hi, memes. Here we go. Watch your ears.
I know I should be wary till I venture someplace scary. Ghostly haunting, I turn loose.
Kathleen Kennedy.
Oh my God. All right, so I'm still late. That's constant. I'm not as late.
You were in the chat early, and I even said I sent you the link.
I know.
Welcome,
Consistent. Thank you so much for having me. How are we all doing today?
Oh, we're doing pretty good, but we were just starting off with a question, and we're going to go to the chat, and we're going to go to the panel as well. We'll go in order. You guys all watched Babylon Squared. Did you like this episode, and was there any favorite part? And we'll start with the man with the glasses from Doctor Who, Adega first, and then we'll go. I messed up. I was going to say Van Helsing, but I did. They were like, hey,
well, these aren't Who glasses. I don't know where they're from, except from a store, but other than that.
Trigon glasses.
Right. I think because I know the discrepancies in the timeline, those discrepancies, how they were fixed between this one and a future episode, I think is my favorite part. Other than that, the whole idea of when I first watched it, of having this huge mystery of something big is going on in the universe. You keep getting clues in this first season that there's something big going on. We don't know. Here comes this big Earth station. It's gone for some reason, and it just made me drawn more into the series. And you bring up this picture, which is funny. Later on, with another episode that's related to this one, Garibaldi asks him, do you shoe socks, do you fasten zip? That little conversation here will be brought back where he's looking for a passcode and he says socks, fasten, zip. You'll see it again. Either way, I just thought that was interesting. Something silly.
Right. Yeah, okay. Now, Kate, what did you think?
I just like Glenn's monologue at the end.
Which
That's
one?
pretty much it. And this seems funny, and I appreciate that there's callbacks to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think it was the point where she basically goes, "F you guys, I'm going back to B5."
Well, they actually
Yeah,
overturned the
pretty
decision.
much, but she's very polite, and she's. I mean, there's more to it than just that. But, yeah.
All right. Monkey Jeebus, what about you?
I like Zathras.
Well,
Zathras.
yeah.
Zathras.
That's an easy answer. That's an easy answer.
Zathras.
Well, it's because like he reminds me of Red Dwarf and the cat guy.
That makes sense. And then of course we have memes of the continuity of Lake Destruction. How are you, sir? What did you think?
Well, I gotta go with Monkey on this one. Our furry friend in there that seemed to know exactly what was going on, but absolutely had no idea what was actually happening, and just kind of doing his role there. And it's good to see furry representation.
Had to go there, but I kind of agree. But for me, honestly, my favorite part was this conversation where they're joking about the zipper, and he's and Sinclair's like very adamant. I'm like, I'm not telling you how I zip up my zipper, put my pants on. It's not happening.
That was the second one / tied for first.
Yeah, but the one thing I wanted to ask all you guys in general is this episode. If you came in this one, then you knew the later episodes kind of connected to it. Does this episode fall in between the episode in the future we're going to see, or does it fall as a prequel?
I mean, it's a little hard to say without the full content. It just having it being referenced and just the story behind, basically Babylon 4, it just kind of disappeared. It's like, what? How do you lose a whole space station? And then all of a sudden, it's like, the tachyons are going through the roof. And then I heard on a physics stream the other day, it's like, well, how can you go faster? And I'm like, well, tachyons. And then someone's like, I'm just like, all right, well, there's some hand waving there. So maybe there is actually something to that. So credit to the story team for actually throwing stuff out there that may actually make sense.
No, that was cool. So, do you guys know who these people are?
The Nine. Great Council.
The Mandars.
The what?
The Mandars, the Mobos.
They're like
the
elders.
The Bonehead Brigade.
The people that almost killed humanity until something happened.
You can call them
the thing.
They're the Great Council? Council of the Nine?
Well, I know they're not the Coneheads.
Oh my god, they're boneheads. Oh my god.
They look like the guys from Bill and Ted.
This is the worst guessing game I've ever hosted.
We're all going to hell.
Okay, well, no, this is the Council of the Nine. If we're gonna look at it, right? Okay, but you guys know how it's split up and with the groups, right? How many are of each cast or in each group are in the actual council?
No.
Yes, sir.
3 worker, 3 warrior, 3 religious.
Yeah, so they maintain balance and with the decision making in general. But yeah, this is Delen's one of her better speeches. I honestly loved it. The way they were talking about how humanity is not only something that is erratic, but because of their erraticness when it comes to their emotion and their struggle, they don't realize their potential, but they always show it off when circumstances become dire. And I found it very pleasuring to listen to, but at the same time, I felt it maybe as an ego boost to humanity. I couldn't really.
It's a
You know what I
very
mean?
It's a very going gulp kind of monologue.
Yeah, it is.
I feel like maybe if you put it to the song, it's like, you're gonna go far, kid. Maybe something like that.
Okay. Well, where do I go back to this? I'm sorry. I'm used to having Keith here, and usually so I'm kind of going off. But what part should we focus on first? And let's go from the beginning. The episode opens up, and we're pretty much getting a distress call from Babylon 4, and people are like, "What the f?" So Ivanova sends off a couple Star Furies to go check it out. Star Fury comes back, goes to credits, but what you actually see is the body got rotted by time, if I'm correct, right?
Yes.
And that was due to the tachyon surges.
Kind of like an Orville.
I've never seen the Orville. I've seen one episode, so I'm kind of iffy on that one.
The ship basically shows back up. It's like, well, everything is reading completely fine. There's no sign of life. It's like, oh, what happened? It looks like he literally died of old age. It's like, oh, it's very odd. What the heck's going? Oh, look, here's the signal. It's Babylon 4.
Planet of the
Confirmed.
Apes. The other astronauts, like, they aged, and then like he didn't.
Is that why people became fuzzy?
I'm trying not to blind someone, but pretty much this happens. Oh, we've heard the best part. They actually pranked Ivanova in the beginning. You remember this during the lunch meal? You guys
Yes. Brilliant.
Yeah. They
So
literally
Garibaldi could eat her breakfast.
She was so asleep, and he kept using that very melodic voice that slowly draws you into the point where she falls asleep. They take all her rations, hide them, and be like, "Oh, can you believe it's already 7:30? She's late," and then they just start eating. And as Garibaldi's like, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ah! She wasn't happy.
Garibaldi, I'm gonna kick you in the ass. It's pretty much all you hear.
I love the "I'll notify your next of kin."
Yeah.
And he's the boss saying that, which makes it even funnier.
But they were both in on it. Like, that's the way I like the way the crew worked, right? They were always not only professional and maintain the orders and the command structure, they knew how to actually still treat each other as friends and co-workers or allies. What's the word I'm looking for?
They were more like a family.
Yeah.
They were there so long.
There's a lot of camaraderie.
Well, but that's that's what gets people in trouble on set.
Yeah.
Now, hello, Jacob. I see you in the chat. And PJ Maybe, how are you doing? As well as TD. But I'm not going to lie. If you're looking at this, it's goddamn Bruce Willis light. It is. It's really Bruce Willis light. Doesn't it look like Bruce Willis? I want to put a side by side at this point.
I'm not going to lie. That's kind of what I got. It's like Bruce Willis with less yippee-ki-yay mofo.
He's a nice Bruce Willis.
Oh, yeah,
I think Jerry Doyle was a bit taller too, though.
Really? I didn't know that.
He's a tall guy.
Willis isn't very tall. He might be average on a good day.
But he's kind of like a John McClane in space, you know, like
McClane in space.
McClane.
But as we progress through the episode, we pretty much get them talking to the actual commander in charge of Babylon 4, and he's going through the whole saying, "Oh, we got a skeleton crew. We have this many people." They were right, and they keep saying because they keep fluctuating in and out of time, right? So what's going on is they experience different moments of their life in different time moments as the tachyons start fluctuating, and eventually when they go to the station, they start experiencing themselves, which is Garibaldi, Sinclair, and Ivanova. No, Ivanova stayed on the station, right?
Yeah.
It was only yeah. I was watching this nonstop today, and I kept missing stuff. If you guys want to take over or bring any to it, go for it. Because, I'm not going to spoil everything because I talk too much.
Well, they were experiencing those time flashes. Basically, everyone has, when there's some tachyon surge, they experience moments of their life in future, past, sometimes even potential future. One of the big ones was with Garibaldi and Sinclair. The station is just about to blow up. Garibaldi has got this massive gun at his side. He looks like one of the two from Aliens that had the side-mounted gun, and gets Sinclair off, and he knew he was going to go down with the ship. And Garibaldi was, and says, "This is the moment I was born for." And each one has a little different experience. Garibaldi went back and saw his old girlfriend, who most of you know, she is going to play kind of a key character for his arc in the long run. And fortunately enough, she stuck with the whole 5-year series. But the time flashes in this episode and in the future episode, they're very good at foreshadowing things that are to come. And I thought the writing was really, really cool the way they did that.
See, the one thing with the Garibaldi flashback that happened, do you think it was referencing? I'm sorry, this is a spoiler warning. We're referencing a shadow, the shadows themselves, or actually the races that align themselves with the shadows that had just as devastating technology when this thing happened, or was it a totally different Great War? This is a great conversation I'm having about.
Well, I didn't want to dominate. I'm letting other people, or unless you're asking me directly.
I'm asking anyone if you guys remember. Sorry.
I think it was open to the floor. I have no idea what he's talking about. Thank you for spoiling.
I didn't spoil anything.
I don't think so. I disagree. He doesn't seem to be. He's skeptical, but doesn't seem to be fully aware of what's going on at this point. So I don't think so. So, unless it's just some foreshadowing, maybe. But I think that's a stretch.
I'm going to go with the actual crew being so well knit together and having such a coherent story, a script. Basically, they wrote the characters well enough that whatever road they really wanted to go down, they pretty much could. That's my opinion.
All right,
hey, script.
How you doing?
Hello, everybody.
Hi, we are just getting started. Keith is lost somewhere in Wreck-It Ralph 2, so we're waiting for him to show up.
You got caught in a tachyon field.
Yeah. So we're right now just talking about, I had a question. It was a mild spoiler question. Is when they're having the flashbacks, the one where they're actually fighting the enemy, because we never get to really see the enemy that much. Do you think it was an ally of the shadows? Spoiler, sorry, memes, or do you think it was another race and another Great War?
Well, I kind of know what it is, and I don't want to spoil it.
Right.
Okay. Then we don't have to spoil it.
Thank you.
Especially the sister episode to this that comes later on. The hard facts are given. You know exactly who it is. You see the alternate future and the regular, or the one that future that comes to pass side by side. You know exactly who it is.
Oh yeah. But Script, you weren't here for the first question. You know Babylon Squared is an episode. Do you have any favorite parts of the whole episode in general?
I really like Zathras. It's just the interrogation room scene with Zathras, and then he sees Sinclair, and he's like, "You're not the one," and that was all pretty funny and. This had a lot of moments with dialogue and play on character that was quite charming, that I enjoyed, and I like the fact that they have this basic story, which is kind of, at this point, it's figure out a little bit of what's going on at Babylon 4, but primarily let's just rescue the crew and get the hell out of there. And I like that clear objective, but then all these other little mysteries start popping up, and the setup is done quite well, because once you do get to this companion episode that happens much later on, pretty much every single setup they have in here pays off. Actually, it's quite clever. Excuse me. So there's lots to enjoy. But Zathras is, for two reasons. Number one, I mentioned previously on another one of these streams that I know a guy that looks a lot like Zathras, who's from a small village in India, and excuse me. So every time I see him, I just reminded of that. After the fact, he's obviously much better looking than Zathras, but he just looks like him. And yeah, and this is your first taste of Zathras, and what Zathras later becomes is also quite funny as well, and interesting.
the whole pretense of not the one, you are the one, you waiting for the one. Do you think that in itself was like that's what got me, I think, actually hooked into the next season and the other episodes, because I was trying to figure out what he was talking about, and we start getting introduced to another character that we have no idea who it is until later on the episode, and it's pretty much just Biff Naked Spaceman just appearing from random points at this point.
Yeah, well, this is, I think, this is the episode where you can, in hindsight, because knowing of certain issues with the actor who played Sinclair, this is the one where they're like, we're taking the show in a slightly different direction, but still staying on the main course, so to speak, like a detour, as it were, because what they were able to do with this premise that they've set up is allow for a correction with some issues that's happening with the main actor. Like he's going to leave this season. This is his last season, and they're using this episode to kind of set up that point.
See, I agree, because there's something that in writing nowadays in an awful lot of shows that we all complain about, they don't do their homework. And for the future episode, not only because it was really hands-on with J. Michael Straczynski, but this, even though the story arc had to change because of the main actor, it still fit. It still tied in. They did a brilliant job.
Yeah, I think because they learned of his. I mean, J. Michael Straczynski learned of the condition, I think, early on in production, before the halfway point. And I suspect that once he figured out what it was, he's like, well, this is not going to last for the duration of the series. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, since I know where I want the story to go, I can actually work in a plausible way for this to be okay. So that when Sinclair does leave, the actor does leave, I can bring in this new character and still maintain the initial course that I wanted to have set. And also, use this as an opportunity to maybe explore on another idea that maybe he didn't quite have figured out during the initial outline, and have fun with here. And it does pay off, which is a testament to paying attention to his own work and
Right.
Having fun with what he can do with this type of premise. I mean, again, science fiction and time travel specifically, way harder to do, but he kept it very simple, which is usually your best bet.
I kept it literally like the TV. It's like, oh, are we getting that channel? Quick, move the antenna.
Yeah,
just using something that was relatable. It's like, oh, we're fading in, we're fading out, we're kind of getting you, we kind of understand. Oh, it's gone again.
And then playing into another part of the premise that sets up why Sinclair is so special as well.
Oh, because see, I remember in Spartacus when the main actor ended up basically he ended up coming down with cancer, and he later ended up passing away. They did a prequel, and then they replaced him with somebody that actually did a pretty good job. I don't think the raw vigor and anger was still there that the original actor, I apologize, I forget his name, but I think they still did a good job and continue on for a couple seasons. I don't think it necessarily needed all the seasons, but that's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Is there anything so far from what we've actually seen in the episode that has grabbed you or made you want to recheck an older episode or want to push through even faster? Just by the way things have been delivered in an Easter egg format, but enough that it gives you the information to make your own kind of hypotheses. This is to anyone on the panel, pretty much.
This one definitely, when I started rewatching it, once I got past this episode, this is kind of like the one where you're kind of grateful that you can binge it a lot more, because it does have a great cliffhanger aspect to it. And this would be the one of the big milestone turning points of the show. That after this episode, you're either all in or you're not, pretty much. If you haven't been hooked by this point, you're probably not going to be hooked later on, because just of what it does, maybe with the follow-up episode to it. But for if you were watching this before the second season came out and you were watching it in syndication or reruns, and you got to this episode and you decided maybe I won't tune in for season 2, then yeah, this probably wouldn't be for you. But otherwise, I think this is one of the few episodes that definitely would hook any people that were on the fence of Babylon 5.
I actually agree. This is probably one of the best episodes out of the full first season. That not only it felt like a prologue in a way, because when you get into the next 2 episodes and then get into season 2, it starts developing its flow, and I think it found its final flow where it started to not only deliver the stories but the connections and the communications between the characters on the whole station that were mostly the main protagonists throughout, as well as the sub characters that were slowly being introduced. And everyone wanted to see more Zathras at this point. They wanted to know what Zathras was, who he was, what his whole purpose behind his mission. And I honestly think it was the doorway that started everything.
Well, there's that, and then the final scene where you see Sinclair, you see the hand coming in and touch him on the shoulder. You see he's looks a whole lot older, and we're going, well, at least in my mind, it's like, wow, okay, something big is definitely going to happen. We got to hang on to find out how they're tying all this together.
Now, I'm going to stop it on this scene. And most of us knows what happens here when they touched. Do you think the way we watch other sci-fi and other television shows, the way crossing timelines with the future or past self, do you think it had any effect on how the future changed from the future there before the touch? Do you think that had any type of reaction?
I'm not sure. I think all this is playing out as it should have.
My general reaction for these scenarios, I go to Dragon Ball and just the whole Trunks thing. Every time you mess with a timeline, you create another time ring, aka another timeline.
But if we're going to go back and go to Sinclair's message, I tried to warn them, but it's happening exactly the same way again. So do you think it was played off that he couldn't warn them? Or that
the way I kind of look at it is the way the universe works, at least from like a lot of the physics thingies that I've been looking at, is even if things go a little differently, a lot of the same things will happen. Yeah, you can always have the butterfly waves its wings, yada yada, a little additional eddy or something like that. It adds into something. But for the most part, a lot of things are going to happen. And even if you do change one thing, a lot of this universe in and of itself is just going to play out the same way it was because, well, we're pretty small in comparison to the rest of the universe. Just an opinion.
Yeah,
I think it anticipates it. It's kind of like vague, so that it can always. It's like a self-healing. It's like a self-healing machine, you know.
Well, it's either that or basically it's a battle of, like the tipping the scales of variables. Like you have the Libra scales of variables. The time discrepancy of the universe for this one variable is insignificant compared to all the other variables going on around it. So eventually it's going to, at best, right itself, unless some sort of variable is so significant that it tips the scales in the opposite direction. In this case here, for the time traveling aspect, whoever's coming from the future, they're stuck as a player within their own past, and there's nothing that they can really do about it, aside from the fact that they might know that they themselves, if they see themselves in that past, are probably invulnerable because they've already made the journey back to the past.
Well, that's the thing. You might also, sorry to cut you off, Stephen, but you might be viewing that, but then again, just because you're playing the game doesn't mean you view every cutscene.
Exactly, yeah.
So the way Mike describes it makes kind of sense. Like tree branches look very similar from far away, but different from up close. That's true, as well as the rings can always differentiate depending on the weather or whatever affects it. So yeah.
And that's depending on which theory of time travel you're playing with, like either the singular timeline theory, where you can't go back into yourself and it's only one dimension, or the multiple dimension theory, where you'll never return to your original timeline because every jump in time is to a new dimension.
It's Back to the Future versus Dragon Ball.
That's a good one.
And the odd thing about it too, though, is with this, when the time flashes with this episode, the time flashes in the future episode, they have alternate futures that half of the cast will see, as opposed to it being always the same thing. So you get hints that the future is going to be one way, but it turns out a different way. In my mind, that says that, I like Script's idea where it is always, regardless of what you see, it's always going to go in one direction, as opposed to every time you make a decision, it starts branching over and over and over until now there would be infinite, almost different timelines because of all the various different dimensions and different decisions that were made. It's just interesting that it kind of plays on both, because like I said, you see an alternate future, but it goes into one future, which happens to be the good story arc.
They combine the best of both worlds. It's literally like time roulette there. It's like being in Vegas there. It's like they're showing you all these possibilities, and it's like, is the person imagining this or is this actually occurring? And if they don't specify, which as far as I know, I'm not sure, it's all a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like good writing to me.
Does sound like good writing. That's what I love about it. Now, as we're going on, we see, as we get through the episode, what did you think of Delenn turning down the whole leadership of the Nine? What did you think of that?
Well, it's responsible. But go ahead, Memes.
Now, was she turning down the 8? Because I'm counting 9 individuals there. Is she part of the 9 or is she reporting to the 9?
Both.
What?
She is part of the 9, but she's also reporting to them of her activities.
She was
on
reporting to the 9 of which she is part of, thereby responding to the 8 other individuals that make up the 9.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And this isn't a spoiler. She is very, very respected among these people because their previous leader was considered by them one of the greatest that they have ever had. And he handpicked her to be part of the group. So they thought she was something extraordinarily special.
Oh.
And she was present for their leader's death, and
which gets connected to a later episode when we start seeing newer characters appear, and then you start understanding. But yeah, thoughts? Anything else?
I was gonna make a comment, but I'm not gonna ruin it for everybody.
There is spoiler alert for about 15 seconds. We find out that she is being influenced by outside sources, very, very powerful outside sources. And that has a huge part in her decision right here.
I couldn't help it. You said she was handpicked by their respected leader.
Oh my god. You just made a George Lucas joke, didn't you?
I did.
Oh my god.
George is still with us, though.
Ducat was his name, as Cutie Cat says. Yeah, it was. But that's what I found funny. When I heard the name Ducat, I was almost automatically thinking Gold Ducat from DS9. I'm like, is this where everyone's getting like the ripoff scenario from both series because of one name?
It's just a coincidence.
Yeah, it was. Oh, this is all right. Well,
I mean, nobody's ever ripped anybody off before. It's not like you had like the fist or the foot or anything like that.
That's more parody, but yes, you're Stick and Splinter, you know.
We're gonna have
could the Minbari Council of 9 secretly be the 9 Nazgul?
Ooh.
The 9 Kings.
Hurt my brain, will you?
There's been questions about souls recently.
I don't know. Well, souls do have a major pretense in the way their race runs, especially with the way the Minbarian human war went. And I'm not going to spoil any more of that because I think we did that last week.
Oh, Minbari, that was their name. Okay, I apologize for butchering them earlier.
Well, the Minbari have a very
stole it
interesting
to like the 7.
Yeah.
But they have a very interesting structure to their society. They have their religious caste, they have the worker caste, and they have the warrior caste. But that's encompasses all of their politics too. So they don't have a representative caste, so to speak. I mean, the closest thing would be the religious caste, but in that case, they don't actually act as representatives either. So it's really weird. very simplified dichotomy between these three parties, and it explains a lot with later on with their actions and how they behave with other species.
They're like ants.
There is no Council of Seagal, sadly. That's just a buffet line with a lot of tears. But yeah, almost. But just going through this episode, like I'm trying not to spoil it, and I just want to be excited and spoil stuff because there's a lot in there. And I love the way Zathras is playing so difficult, but he's not doing it out of just to be a dick. He's doing it out of the fact that he's loyal to the one and the cause. And we're never going to be told the cause or who he's loyal to, even though we're technically going to see them later on. And it's the one is based off the time of the persons to be the one. It's related to the other episode as well as now. I don't know how to deliver this without spoiling it, and I want to just go, and I can't.
It's all right. It's the Highlander.
He looks very unimpressed right now. He's like, I'm not telling you shit. That's pretty much what's going on here. They're both trying to, like, they're not even being good cop, bad cop at this point. They're both just like sitting there going, just tell us what the fuck's going on. And he won't do it.
Well, he's an honorable furry.
Or like angry and annoyed cop. And confused cop.
Oh, the most confused one's definitely the bald guy because he doesn't know what time he's in. He doesn't know what the hell's going on, and he keeps trying to figure out what's real and what isn't.
He's got Alzheimer's.
The only thing going for him is that he's a few years younger than he was when he supported the station now, technically.
Right. And that, I think, would be the ultimate weak point in this episode is that captain. Because he just, to me, doesn't seem like he has the wit to be able to handle high stress. It
seems like he was in charge of basically construction operations, like his rank is in the construction area of the military.
You missed at the beginning. I read the history of the different Babylon stations, and he was appointed at the finish. So this was his station. Yeah.
Yeah. Then that's a big flub on that part, given him being appointed at this station at the end, and he can't handle. He has no pragmatic skill set. That's pretty bad.
He's basically a failure Picard.
Well, maybe the time jumps like really like destroyed his like psyche, like jumping around like that.
Does he even recognize that he's jumped around in time from his perspective?
There's actually been
he was saying that.
Yeah, sorry about that, Jeeves. Go ahead.
Yeah, he was like telling them that everybody's gonna experience something from their personal life. Remember in the beginning? Yeah.
They said sometimes you go a couple of years in the future, then sometimes you go a whole lot of years in the past, but everyone starts experiencing it. And the longer you hear, the more you get affected by it. And you don't know what's happening until you're already reliving that time. It was something along those lines. And it was like, yeah, then we get to hear and we see Garibaldi breaking up with his ex-girlfriend again, because every person wants to go through another breakup because you're making a choice, right? That's everyone's fantasy in life. I want to relive that breakup again. Am I wrong?
I mean, isn't that what we do anyway?
No, you don't toss and turn in bed, going reliving a breakup.
No, other people don't think about it.
I have my moments, but I don't get to relive it like back in time.
Well, I guess it depends. Like if you're on the receiving end, maybe you don't want to relive it as often. But if you're on the providing end, the dumping end, it's like, I broke up with them so hard. They were crying. It was great. I felt so relieved.
Oh, you sound evil. It was great. They were crying.
What is no. Script? You're like, I love watching people getting dumped, especially by
I am evil, and I think that makes it worse.
Do you have like a scoreboard under your desk, memes, where it's like, that's from 98, that's from 97, that's from 2001, twice, because it made her...
I could make a game out of this. That's a good idea.
One of these things aren't like the other. One of these things are still dating. Is that pretty much the game?
Hey, it's all about hyperbolic reality, my friend.
Oh my God. All right. Now back onto Babylon Squared, where we're seeing really ugly clothes from the 90s in the futuristic space station. So how many of you own this shirt, and how many of you own this wig of hair? Because I sure as hell don't. Does anyone else here?
Never owned that shirt.
Do you want one? I can get it for you off Amazon.
I owned a shirt very similar, but it was all that solid green color. I did.
I'm going. All donations today go towards Adega's new shirt. So if he travels back in time, he can wear it.
Hey, I look good in everything.
I think my dad has that coat.
Which coat? That coat? Your dad has
the
that
Garibaldi thing. The other one. I thought it was a coat.
That's
that's a stylish dress shirt of the 23rd century.
Oh, okay.
So
My
he shops
apologies.
at the fashionable male.
I'm wearing sunglasses.
All the hip guys are wearing that in 2248.
It's funny though. If you cut all the scenes out, it kind of looks like they're all checking their watch. Do you notice that? They're like, I gotta check the time.
Oh, is that an Easter egg? How many times do people check the time in the time travel episode?
Now,
is it 42?
Now, oh no, I broke it. Where's his face? Where is it? Come on, no, stop. There we go. There's a face. Emily Metherclub right there.
It looks like he's climaxing.
Gosh, I hope not.
I don't know
Like,
any men that have that face. Hey, Terry. But
I apologize.
So what is it? They get mostly everyone off the station except for a select few, I believe, that had to stay behind, right, to help them maintain the station. And as they're trying to escape, Zathras gets pounded by a pole. That's not an innuendo. That does happen. It's part of the structure. Falls on him, and he's giving a message pretty much to Sinclair at this point. Sinclair's trying to save him, and he's just like, "Just leave me. Just leave me." You can tell right here. It's just like, you got to go. And I can't tell whether or not Sinclair understood what he was trying to say or whether something was whispered and we didn't get to see it. He's taking out the trash day. What? No, awesome one. No, they're trying to hug and be close while the world station's disappearing.
Zathras looks like a cat that's like cat tower fell on him.
Pretty much, or a turtle stuck on his back.
Scratching post fell on him. Yeah.
Is that where they get the design for the Cats movie?
No, they got that from My Little Pony.
Fair enough.
As we get closer, Zathras is technically not saved, but we get introduced to the actual astronaut again. And we're getting to the point where we're going to see who he is. And for those that have watched the episode, it's technically, here it comes. It's Sinclair. It's Sinclair and the reason why he's wearing the suit is because of the time traveling device they're using, that the atmosphere is not breathable if it's not within their timeline, if I'm understanding this correctly. So here we go. The future episode will pretty much give more information on why they're on the station and what's going down, but it kind of turns into an Ocean's 11. Is that how you want to put it? Oh, does that make sense? Think about an Ocean's 11.
The time heist.
Is it Ocean's 11 or Ocean's 12?
Basically, what's it called? Infinity War. Or no, Endgame.
Ah, gotcha. All right.
And yeah, that's right, Cutie. You got it. It was You Have a Destiny, and that's where people start putting things together. And it wasn't that easy to do. But here we get our first interpretation of Sheridan, but not the Sheridan from their timeline. We don't know whether the Sheridan's from the future, the past, or the present. Because
that's Sinclair.
That's what I said. Did I say Sheridan?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, you did. Sheridan. I love Sheridan. Okay, it's like
what do I?
You're giving us quantum spoilers now.
I'm not giving any quantum spoilers. Why are you gonna be so mean to me, Blue Eyes Dragon?
Hey, I'm a scaly. It's okay.
I know you're scaly.
We're hunted for our fat loots and everything, so we can be ornery at times.
Okay, let's go back. Let's go from a different point of view. If you're a first-time watcher of this episode, this is the first thing you see. How did you feel when you saw the mask come off of the Biff Naked Spaceman?
That was the big hook for me.
Why is that?
Sinclair here, Sinclair there. Time in between the two, my mind started going wild. How'd this happen? Why'd this happen? What's going on? There's Delenn there because you could easy to recognize her voice. So it was just they got close somehow, some way, and I wanted the gaps filled in. It was extremely intriguing to me.
We also got a cameo from was it Thing from Addams Family, but dressed up very nicely. Wait, did my whole sound just die?
No, there was no response.
Okay, that was great. Thank you for that lovely dead air. It was great. Perfect.
You're welcome.
Your joke.
Your references
Your
were
joke
over all
famous.
our heads.
Yeah, yeah.
I love
But,
you too.
I love you more. Yeah, okay. But anyone else in the panel? What you've seen the unmasking of the spaceman? How did you guys feel? I know Dag has answered, but what did the rest of you guys think? Even the chat. I'm loving this. This is like you guys are all playing this in a private
No,
DM party.
sorry. I was
No, we were all distracted doing other things.
It's like,
prioritizing over your show.
It's like, my dearest Antoinette, Stephen is having a connection with dead air. Please.
No. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't actually realize this until you mentioned that right now. I just kind of looked at it and I'm like, oh wait, maybe I wasn't paying enough attention. I'm going to assume it was too much cannabis. My apologies.
There's never too much cannabis. I'm not blaming the panel for my bad jokes.
He just doesn't like quiet, which is weird.
I don't.
No, he's smart. No, he's a good host and everything. It's like you want to have constant things, keep people entertained, because otherwise people will be checking. Did our sound cut out? Am I still connected to the show? What is going on? I'm trying to drive home through traffic and listen to these folks banter about Babylon 5.
Okay, I'm gonna go right now. I'll be honest. I had the cable internet tech guy here today, so I couldn't tell honestly if it was dead silence or everyone just froze and the whole building just had a stroke. So that's where I'm like, what's going on?
Everyone loves their cable company.
And see, the thing is, what you don't realize is that we enjoy watching you sweat when the silence is on. It's fun to see.
We can build that into your avatar. The more dead air, the more Steven sweats.
And I'm not blaming the panel, CJ. That's not what's going on here. I literally thought the whole stream froze because I didn't see anyone moving.
He's blaming us.
All right, at this point, I would like to take my head out of my ass and breathe some fresh air.
How is it?
I thought it was predictable.
You may want some sanitizer.
Look predictable. Go ahead, Kate.
Yeah, I thought it was predictable, but I honestly, a lot of the show is predictable to me, but I've seen a lot of soaps, and it's a lot like that, so that's why.
Going on what Kate was just saying, I do kind of feel the same way. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting, because I'm like, all right, it's a 90s series. Yeah. You look at the networks it was broadcast on, they're probably not going to Ned Stark somebody immediately off the bat. I'm just saying.
Right, it's not even like a question of that, because apparently the writing of the time was unique. It's just for the genre. It's just not unique to people who are already experiencing the same thing in different genres. So that's
I feel like a lot of times, that certain characters, they're going to make decisions that make sense for them. They're going to do a pretty good job about it. How it actually comes to be, I think, is the interesting part. It's the actual journey.
Right.
PJ maybe says Babylon Squared was one of the best of season 1. The hook for me was Zathras. I wanted to see more of him. And once Sinclair appeared, I knew we would bet more. There.
It might be get. Meant to be get.
Might get. Okay, get more Zat. I'm having an English dyslexia moment. Thank you.
Yeah, the G and the B are close together on the keyboard.
That is true. Forget. So you've already answered memes. What about Jeebus is AFK? So what about you, Script? What did you think about
the ending of this episode? It was cool. I mentioned it. It's a cool cliffhanger because it wraps up the containment of what the goal was for the present time characters, and then it gives you this nice little add-on at the end. Like, yep, we're coming back here, and something big is about to happen.
I agree. That's pretty much it. Like this was a selling point for me. I can agree with PJ there. Yes, it just has predictability, but if I'll come from the point of when I first saw it, I didn't see the predictability. I just saw something that had not only a background in lore in the universe we haven't experienced yet, but we were going to get another Star Wars battle. That was pretty much my excitement as a kid. That's what it was. Like, we're going to see a space fight, and we didn't get it, and I was kind of irritated by it. Martin Orlando says, I was hooked from episode 104, but this took it to a whole different level to me. What kind of whole different level was that?
I think a lot of what you kind of get out of it is the intertwining of the story. Just from what Keith has shared about the series, and just from the amount that I've seen so far, is pretty much everything kind of has a purpose, or at least kind of plays into it. And if you're doing something, whether it's like Garibaldi, it's like, I would like to share my second most favorite thing with you, and you're like, what the heck are you? It's Duck Dodgers from the 21st and a half century. Just little things like that, or even as people were sharing about like the little sock story and everything, just having little things like that that people actually remember about. Just because personally, as a Dragon Ball fan, it's like Akira Toriyama, all due respect to the man, he totally forgot about certain characters and stuff like that. It's like, oh, I just forgot about like Launch and stuff. It's okay, these things happen.
Oh yeah.
They exist.
That's actually pretty good. I'm gonna have to do Dragon Ball versus Babylon 5, the time differences, and go on with that. But I'm gonna play Brain Fart right now. I forget the name of the device, but I knew it had to play a part later on, and Adeg had just unturned his mic, so we'll let him discuss it because he's got.
That is the Triluminary. It is the Minbari's most sacred artifact, and we do learn a lot about what it is. Oh, very cool.
It's not even anything related. It's just that I have it, and it's like, this is the funniest thing that's happening whilst watching this. It's like, wow, this thing happens in relation to the land. I'm like, oh my god, I have that.
Now, without giving hard spoilers, is kind of a soft spoiler. That device is kind of like a genetic engine. It is attuned to their oh gosh, why is my brain shutting off? Valen. Valen was their greatest leader. He was the one who you'll learn more about him in what he did for them 1,000 years in the past. And it is genetically coded to him. They use it for specific reasons. I do believe in the lore there's actually 3 of them, which makes sense. A triangle, triluminary, they have 3 of them. And her getting one at this time is kind of key. So, yeah, it's called the Triluminary.
For those that don't know, sorry.
Go on.
The Valen, I'm going to put down this one. He is a Membari, but not of Membar. That's all I'm leaving it at.
Oh, the plot thickens even more. Now, from what you've described, so what you're saying is that's like an Omnitrix.
Kind of. In this season, you're going to see her start to use it for a specific reason. And season 2, you'll know why. But it's just think of it as a kind of a, not necessarily a truth, but it determines and exposes certain genetics.
Is that why Kate's hair is so long?
Because I haven't cut it in years. Like,
I mean, both of these might be plausible. You also have an Omnitrix.
So she's also genetically coded to Valen. Is that what you're saying? She's secretly a Membari.
I don't know.
I do have to apologize. It is time for me to go. You folks have fun. Thank you as always, Stephen. Each and every one of you. You guys are awesome. I will catch you later.
Take care,
Dega. And that was the author, #Trigun Immediate, leaving the stage. The glasses. He looks like Trigun. Sorry, I'm going to go with that right now. But yeah, so I just thought she really liked geometry, and that was her favorite shape.
Maybe she's wants to call it the Triforce, you know.
Tetrahedron is a strong base hyperbolic object.
Mm-hmm.
She's hiding that master sword.
Or it's a 369 thing.
Damn, you're fine.
Never mind.
I apologize.
So toxic memes. Hold on, I get. She's like, "This is our most sacred artifact. I cannot take this. Take it back. Wait, take it. No, take it. No, take it."
Well, you need to go through it at least once or twice. It's like, you must have this. I am not worthy. You must have this. No, I can't. You must have this. Okie dokie, fat loots.
True.
It would have been funny to. Oh, that, or it also could have been like just a musical triangle, and I would have laughed my ass off too at this point. You know, just like, ding, there you go.
It's a freaking hot potato.
Yeah, it's hot
Wherever
potato.
the music stops, you got it. Oh. It's the base Minbari waveform. It's musical.
No.
That shit goes
I
meow
love
meow
them
meow
so-
meow 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 meow.
Welcome to Memes and Meows. This is definitely in the forefront. But we're getting close to the end of the episode. I think we killed Keith. I don't know where he went. And then we see she takes the device. We're going to see later on in I think the next episode, she actually starts using it or tries to use it with the help of IKEA staff support. And everything's going back to the station. They did save all of the skeleton crew minus the ones that stayed behind or the ones that technically died by explosion inside the station, like the way Zathras got hit by stuff. So we don't know what happened, but we know that each person here has a significant role, and the wheels are starting to turn not only within the station, but around the planets and races that are living near or related to it. And it's so hard trying to explain this without spoiling it, and it's driving me up the wall. And it's definitely science, but there's more coming, and I really just want to go all into it, and I can't.
Do you want to spoil the episode or what's in the next season, future seasons?
The connected episode to the whole thing, because
maybe don't do that.
Yeah, I can't do that because we also have an episode where we get to meet Zathras for the first time, and it's like this little scene in an episode where you're like, what the fuck? And you start seeing the building bricks, and it's fantastic. Like, yeah, I'm simping for this show. I really am. I've enjoyed it a lot. It's you don't get this much anymore, and it's very human in a way, but not. Does any of you guys agree with this, or am I just pooping up my ass right now?
Well, it's totally human, but I mean, it's the sheer fact that you change the eigenstate, quote unquote, of humanity into aliens. It's like, well, it's not necessarily humans doing this; it's aliens, and the humans are responding. It's kind of like how South Park can technically get away with more things because even though they're human, it's kids, but they're also poorly animated cartoon children doing it, so it doesn't have the full human resemblance. So they're saying, aliens are complicated. Boom.
I just got a message from Keith. He is on his way. It only took him an hour. So, yeah.
I think what you mean more is humanitarianness of the series as a whole versus being human or other.
But in a way, even humans are kind of aliens to the other races. So it's all aliens in general. Yeah, it doesn't have a precedent.
There isn't exactly a universal word for humanitarian. Haven't quite got that yet.
The one thing I'm trying to figure out that the device they wear on their hand is also a language translator to a degree as well as a communication device, right?
The link?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Because there's no way in hell they all know the translations and they all know English. So there has to be a base device where they're all learning English, right? Or they're all translating.
Well, I know the Minbari, the Narn, and the Centauri speak English to them. In the Council of Non-Aligned Worlds, I think some of them have translators, but I don't know if their translators are on the reciprocating side. Like, I don't know if anyone on Earth Force has translators that they use. That I cannot remember. We'll have to wait for Keith to see if he can answer that question for us.
Because that's one thing that's boggled my mind. Like, how is it they're all speaking English yet they don't? Oh, there he is. Look. Hi, welcome to the party,
Hi.
Keith.
Oh, Babelfish. Hey, Keith.
Hey.
You okay?
Sorry, I've had some personal things happening, and
I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, it's been kind of emotional around here. But let's get me going on the rest of this.
All right, we've pretty much gone through the episode. We've spoiled the whole old Sinclair. We've done the one is the one. You can jump in and have your moment to shine, sir, because so far I've been accused of blaming the panel for my bad jokes, and I really thought it was because of my internet problems.
Listen, there is a reason why I consider this to be my favorite of nearly all the episodes of Babylon 5. What J. Michael Straczynski and his writing staff were able to accomplish with this particular story was a way of cutting through and providing, I think, one of the best examples of how to properly use a mystery box. And this entire show is just a mystery box filled with mixed mystery boxes, and this is my favorite. This one is going to lead us to some surprising things in season 3, unless they've been spoiled for you already, and you've gone where you should not have gone in going online. But again, I personally think that this is one of those shows that you truly are better off not really knowing too much about what's about to come, because they worked real hard on providing the kinds of stories that I think people would really get into. And there's a reason why Babylon 5 was so successful at being an inspiration to a lot of other shows within that same decade and beyond. So that's what I got to say about Babylon Squared. I'm trying to be as
vague as possible. I already gave a spoiler warning, so as long as you're not spoiling too much, just give your honest feelings, Keith. I think that's why a lot of people like hearing you talk about it. So lay it out. You guys can leave complaints in the description afterwards. I'll read them somehow.
There isn't too much more. First of all, I'm assuming everybody did the homework assignment.
Yeah.
So everybody has seen this episode at least. I'm not getting too
apparently I may have been a little intoxicated towards the end and kind of missed the whole. It's like, oh look, that dude is actually Sinclair. Oops. He looked a little different. He looked a little older.
Yes, he does, and again, there is a reason for that. You may have caught even more within that episode if you're really good with identifying voices, and that's all I'll leave you with on that one. But this is an episode that I think they had been dropping hints about off and on since The Gathering, the pilot episode. And to have brought everything to a head this way not only is satisfying to a certain extent, but helps to extend how to, again, as I said before, properly execute the mystery box. Because the end of this episode only leaves a lot of you with more questions. And trust me, when you see Zathras again, and you will, a lot of this stuff will really start to make sense. So there's not much more I can add, Fat Steven. I mean, you're really good at doing this. But all of you guys just have been, first of all, on a personal note, since I've started doing this, all you guys have been incredible. The response that I've gotten personally from a lot of people that enjoy watching this have been just incredible. You guys are way too kind. But I just think that this is, again, a show that deserves a second look from many people that are trying to find something different than what is being offered right now. And this show is one of those things, in a good way, in a very good way. Very, very well done show.
Right. The general consensus that we kind of, sorry to cut you off, Stephen, is basically it's like for the resources they had, for the time that they had, the actual situations they actually had with their fellow cast members, the writing in and of itself was just extremely well done. Because my observation was, just based upon what you all have told me, what I've seen so far is people were like, okay, were they hinting at this, that, or the other thing? I'm like, if a show is written well enough and you actually know your characters well enough, whatever you actually end up doing, if you actually remember stuff, you can actually tie it back in. Because I was saying I'm a Dragon Ball fan, and all due respect to Akira Toriyama, but occasionally he would forget he had developed some characters.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what happened here.
Some of it is, but there were a lot of changes while they were in production. Certain things that happened that some of it was unforeseen, and they tried the best they could to deal with a lot of what had happened behind the scenes. And I personally think that, to their credit, they were able to pretty much fold in a lot of what happened and added to the story to the point where many fans, at least at that time, didn't realize what was going on, which is great. You really do want the emphasis to be on the show and the story that you're telling rather than any real world personal stuff that's going on. And in this particular case, this is a show and a writing staff that did it very, very well. I again am amazed at what they were able to pull off, and with J. Michael Straczynski saying that the main reason why he developed the show was about the waste. A lot of television series waste a lot of money, and he was trying to figure out a way of cutting the waste and producing something that wasted next to nothing in terms of resources and in the time of the actors and the people working on the show. You got the best of what they got for as long as they were able to give it to you.
I can agree with that, because once you when you get sucked into the show and you start finding where your niche of attraction is in this series, it doesn't always have to be the first season, because I can't stand the first season. I really can't. Babylon Square is pretty much the only one I like, and from there I was able to go on. But once you get into this and the way the episodes start coming out, you don't realize you've just binged 8 episodes and you're on the next season already, or the 9 episodes on the next season, and you're getting more and more and more, but they're not giving you everything. It just keeps. Who said it best? Each episode has a link to the future hidden in plain sight. That's pretty much what it is, and they do it in such a way where you just let the next episode fly. Back in the day when this happened, we didn't have that type of binge model. We actually had to wait till the next week to get the premiere, or find another rerun while looking through a TV guide. Hello, Zachariah. And now it's these little things that we're overlooking because we're looking for the next hot thing rather than going back to an old thing and realizing how hot it was.
Also, you had a show like, say, Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks had already come and gone by the time Babylon 5 premiered. And that show was kind of a hodgepodge of a lot of this type of storytelling. They were literally trying to make it up as they went along. There was no overall game plan for how they were achieving. Now, on the one hand, that's David Lynch and Mark Frost who did that. And there is a kind of genius to how they put that together. But what I think has hurt Twin Peaks in the long run is not having a plan. And while there are certain people that'll walk around and say, I've got a plan, or I've really got a plan, J. Michael Straczynski and his crew had a plan. Now, not everything that happened in real life while they were making the show allowed them to execute it as was originally planned. But that was the genius of keeping everything in a way where they could roll with it and fold it into the story if need be, if they were able to. And that is the genius. This is the next step of properly using a mystery box. It kind of started here in America, at least, with Twin Peaks on television, and then went to Babylon 5. And Babylon 5 and J. Michael Straczynski, they found a way of perfecting it. And to this point, not a lot of other television shows have at least figured out a way of answering a majority of what those mystery boxes were. So they finished strong. And in my opinion, definitely one of those finales that you're going to need a couple of tissues, and as long as nobody's in the room with you, just let the tears flow,
I found it. I'm so happy you said tears, because it was going down another road where my mind went dark.
Oh, man.
You got to have a couple tissues on hand. Got to make sure you're alone. Put on some candles.
Yeah, that's a different Saturday night. So Babylon 5.
Is there coconut oil involved?
Look, it's the.
I apologize.
No. It's just, yeah. This is. I keep repeating it every week, but it's true. And as a lot of us who've seen a lot of television shows, especially those connected to even J.J. Abrams, as we realized, there is a way to use mystery boxes. And for the most part, he's not as good as he likes to think that he is with that. I think he overuses it too much. But this show is a testament of how to do it properly. So I think even J. Michael Straczynski could teach J.J. Abrams a thing or two about doing that.
But that would require actually listening and learning and adapting, not just.
I thought a lot of it also came down to just the writing in and of itself, because it's like, all right, if you have a plan and fully fleshed out characters and an idea of where you're going, and then character development and interactions along the way, like if you know that beforehand, I think that makes most of the job easier. If you're just kind of like, here's an idea, let's do something. Oh, we're going to make some more. Let's hope it works out. That seems kind of lazy.
Yeah. And again, I think more people should be aware of who J. Michael Straczynski is and what he's done, and become a fan of some of the other things that he ended up doing. And again, many of us have seen his stuff and didn't know who he was. If you've seen the MCU movies, especially Phase 1, you've already gotten a taste of J. Michael Straczynski.
You mean a lot of the good Marvel movies?
He wrote Thor.
Oh. Cool.
Yeah, that's his screenplay. In fact, he also makes a cameo appearance in the movie. He's the guy in the truck for whom they decide to use. There's a Stan Lee cameo with a guy in a truck, but there's a second guy also that tries to use his truck to get the hammer to move. That's J. Michael Straczynski.
I didn't know that. Really, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I remember I watched Thor in the theater and I recognized him immediately. Of course, you're going to have that same thing with Babylon 5. Trying not to give too much. Those that watch the early episodes of this that Steven and I did, I told you how I said that J. Michael Straczynski had an idea how he was going to end the show. And he was able to do it exactly the way he described, because he had been asked, you've got the entire show mapped out. And he's like, I not only have the entire show mapped out, I can tell you what the final scene is.
Oh, he was in Underworld Awakening and he wrote Murder, She Wrote. Cool. Yeah.
And he became a fixture for a while in comics, especially in Marvel. So yeah, he's done a lot, and chances are you probably have run across some of his stuff and didn't know it.
She-Ra, Princess of Power. He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Gee, that's why I like him.
Yeah, and also Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future.
I saw that too in IMDb. I just didn't know what it was.
Yeah, that's
Captain Power was a show that you could had a toy line that would interact with the show while it was playing, and the ending credits, which had a space scene where you would chase an enemy ship. So you would hold up the ship to the screen like the Nintendo light gun. You put your character in the ship and you would chase it through the ending credits, trying to blow it up. And you would, if it hit you and hit your light, like the reactor, your ship would react to it as well.
That was a show that totally depended on the toy line and toy sales, and that's the real reason why season 2 didn't happen, because the toy sales went in the tank. But here's the thing: J. Michael Straczynski and that writing staff worked their butts off to create something that was really worth watching. And again, as I've said before, Siskel and Ebert actually reviewed the show and liked it. So This is all pre-Babylon 5. This is what, 1987? So yeah, this is just before Star Trek: The Next Generation premiered for the first time. Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future was on the air and in syndication before Star Trek: The Next Generation hit, and telling some really, really good stories, better than they should have been for what should have just been a kids show, air quotes. So
I feel so bad for the series. I mean, you're up against like Hercules, Xena. It's like you're up against like some of the top power players from the '90s. I'm going back. I'm like, this stuff is freaking phenomenal, and I just never watched it. Thank you.
It was one of those shows, especially Captain Power. It was like more of, I think it came on in the morning in Canada for like a lot of kids, but it was like one of those shows before your parents woke up. It was right at the cusp of like 5:30 to 6:30 a.m. So you'd have to sneak up, turn your cereal on, make sure your space gunship wasn't too loud, and you sit there and eat and wait for those parts where like the CG animated robot, the bio dreads would come on, and you try to like interact with them with the toys, and it was quite fantastic.
Did you say to turn your cereal on?
I tweak the 2 unicorn marshmallows at a counter clockwise.
Continue, Key.
Nipple tweaky thing. Horseshoes and blue moons.
Thank you for the visual.
Captain Crunch.
It depended on where you were. I think initially the show was treated like a Saturday morning kid show, although I think I remember it started out on Saturdays, but not completely, and they kept moving the time around as to when the show would be on. That's the downside of syndication, especially when you're talking local syndication. They can pretty much move you around to wherever they need you to be. That was also a problem with Babylon 5, the first season, because I remember that show got moved around so much. Where I'm living was Saturday nights at like either 10:30 or 11:30 was the first season of Babylon 5. So you pretty much had to own a VCR to set it to record, unless something happened and then you missed it, and then you were out completely until they decided to show that particular episode again. But look, everybody out there, I think the episodes of Captain Power are all available. I don't know about all the episodes for Twilight Zone, the 80s version. I don't know if they're all available. Straczynski I think, ran that writer's room too. And then Babylon 5. And the man was just on a massive roll. And I would love to sit down with him someday and just fire questions rapid fire at him. Something tells me he could answer every single one of them. But if you really want that experience for yourself, you can find J. Michael Straczynski right now on Twitter. He is very interactive on Twitter. You ask him questions, he will answer.
That's why I keep tagging him in the posts, and I'm hoping one day he might join us, because I'd love to hear him just talk about it.
Oh yeah, just give up the whole show to him, and just let him just talk.
To hear his brain. Yeah, just to hear his brain.
Have you asked him for an interview?
I've tagged him. I've actually asked him for an interview.
No, not you, Steven. I'm not talking to you.
I sent one message at the beginning. At the beginning, I asked if it would be possible if I could, get him on to talk to him and ask some questions, because I put it out there that I've already talked to quite a few people connected with the show, hoping that would be some way of shaking something loose. I think I've talked to what, 5 or 6 members of the cast.
That's I think the way this base works, Keith, is literally Don't ask more than once every 3 months, especially if he's active on Twitter. Continue to interview more and more cast rates, and you build it up to the point where literally you'll be like Fatal Jade and you'll meme the Snyder Cut into reality. Just an opinion.
You know what? From your lips to God's ears, yes, I hope that someday works. I would really like to talk to Bruce Boxleitner. I've come close several times. I would. I really wanted to interview Jerry Doyle, but I was never lucky enough to catch up to him. Again, I've talked to, gosh, yeah. So the characters and actors that I've caught up to: Sinclair, Ivanova. What other names can I mention without giving too much away about the future?
Did you talk to Billy Mummy?
Not yet. Billy Mummy's somebody that I definitely want to talk to because I caught up with. I've been wanting to talk to him for a long time because the convention that I used to work for here in town, we got the guy that was actually in the B9 suit, the robot suit. And so he said, look, Billy's a great guy to get a hold of and talk to. I'll see if I can shake something loose. Nothing. I don't know if he was able to do anything for us. I know, at least for me, it never worked out for an interview. But I definitely want to talk to Billy Mooney. So.
PJ says he did start his writing career writing for He-Man and She-Ra, and that
Mhm.
I showed a lot. I remember Exo Squad 2 memes, yes. But I didn't ask. I don't know if I asked this, Keith. What was your favorite part of this episode? Like, did you have a favorite part? Besides Zathras?
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, I had two favorite parts. I loved all of the stuff in connection to Zathras and the mysterious person in the blue suit and in the blue spacesuit. I loved all of that stuff. But I also liked the reaction of the characters when they had their flash backwards and or forwards. I love those scenes. No, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything more because I'm about to reveal something. Yeah. I'll say it. Okay. When Sinclair gets hit and you see what he sees, which is a vision of the future, that is actually going to happen. Okay, although that not in the way that it played out in his vision, but a version of that it will happen. And that's all I can say.
He's working the same pretense like me. I'm like, I just want to say everything, and I can't say everything.
I know it. There's so much I could say about this episode that would unlock and open up a bunch of. It would answer a lot of mystery boxes that many of you have yet to see. So I want to be respectful of the work that they put into in writing this show and give all of you the opportunity to discover it the way that many of us discovered it when it was first broadcast. I think that to me is the ultimate way that I can honor this show. And I know it sounds like I'm trying to, like it's a little bit of a cop-out, but I believe strongly in what they were attempting to do and how they wrote. You know, I wouldn't have suggested or be doing any of this if I didn't. So, yeah. So that's my favorites.
But I agree with you. I think a lot of us can agree. We're at the point now where we already know what's going to happen. We know the connections, and it's so hard biting our own tongues to the point of blood that we don't want to ruin it for other people because we want you to experience that phone on vibrate and the storyline as it progresses. See what I did?
But you know what? I will say this: the answers that you seek for this episode are in the third season.
Oh yeah.
And when you see it, it's both really cool, but it's also kind of sad in a way. I don't know how far a lot of you have made it. I don't know how many of you are actually in the third season.
So what you're saying is we need to wait until Babylon cubed.
Yes. It's actually called Babylon Pie.
Oh, I like pie. Speaking of pie, I actually gotta go. We've got like a 5 o'clock start in the morning. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I love you all.
No.
Thank you for having me.
Memes, it is always great having you. So yeah, I apologize for being late, but it is always great talking to you.
No. I mean, we need consistency here. It says I wasn't an hour late. I hope everything is going well with you. Thank you again, all.
Don't leave yet.
Monkey, Kate,
Yep.
Steven, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Don't leave yet, because I want to ask Keith, and since we're all here on the panel, before we end, I want to get memes a head start. What should we do for next week's episode?
Yes,
to cover.
Next week's episode, we are going to start in with I've already suggested season 2 to many of you, so you've already done that. So
double episode?
You know what? Say what?
Double episode?
Double episode. You know what? That's exactly what we'll do. We will take episode 1 and 2 of season 3 next week.
All right. So season 3, episode 1 and 2 memes, and now you can go and shake your head in hateful distaste.
I love you too. Peace out, everybody.
I love you more.
I mean,
and then we're done there. So yeah. Is there anything you want to actually share about it, Keith? Because I know you got here late. Is there anything about this episode you want to share with other people that you haven't already? That I
haven't already.
Lay
you know what? No. Everything about that episode. That again, since that was the homework assignment, you guys have seen it. I mean, how do you guys feel as just a time travel story? I mean, had you ever seen anything like this?
Probably, but in cartoons.
Oh, sorry.
It's going okay.
If so, it was probably inspired by this.
Yeah. I at the time when this episode came out, I think a lot of time travel shows up to that point, especially space shows, a lot of time travel was centered on a lot of the episodes of Star Trek that have done stuff like this kind of before. But this is a different take, using time as kind of in a much different way, rather than being, what you've seen Star Trek do, where it's like a time accident and your characters get thrown back in time. This is using
Enterprise did it too.
Enterprise did it too. Yeah,
with Archer.
It's used differently here, and as I've said, this is probably my third favorite time travel episode of any television series that I've seen, at least in the 90s. I still think what Farscape did was better than any other series. The way they wrote that episode, it is good. I didn't think anybody could beat Babylon Squared, and then Farscape came in and said, "Yeah, hold our beer and our car keys and our shoes and the D-Door house, and we'll match you." So, yeah. But that's another show, and I don't want to start you guys off on something else. I want to keep it squarely on Babylon 5. But yeah. So that's what I'll say. I'll stick with that. My mind is kind of scattered right now. So
that's okay. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So then how about this? Let's wrap it up here. We don't want to, I know you got stuff going on. I think all of us want to go eat something or play with our Star stuff. or anything like that. I made that joke. I did. Don't kill me. But other than that, next week we will cover season 3, episode 1 and 2. So guys, get ready. And other than that, I'd like to thank Script, Jeebus, Memes, A Dig Outlaw, Kate, and of course Keith for eventually finding the StreamYards link. I know you've had a busy day. And
yeah. So
other than that, I'd like to thank the chat for everyone who showed up. Y'all have a great day. This is the end of the episode. This is not the end of the show. There will be one next week. And
thank you all.
Yes, thank you all. Thank you for coming. And remember,